William, hopefully your favorite videographer from Two Hats Publishing. I welcome you to another Two Hats special of community events. Let's look in and see what's really happening.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet. Here in the studio, well, Josh is here. Lerone has the day off and the late Patti Fink is running on time for Patti.
Patti time.
Patti time. Today is the 35th anniversary of Lambda Weekly.
Woo!
And I'm going to just turn Patti's mic on because we're going to assume that she's running in. Yeah, oh, there she is. She's coming up the steps. But today is the 35th anniversary of Lambda Weekly. We started the first weekend in August 1983, the weekend the station went on the air. And part of the history of Knon is that the station did not steadily stay on the air for that first month, but we had our broadcasting license and had to go on the air by the first week of August or lose the license. Oh. So some odd and peculiar shows went on the air. One of them was Lambda Weekly, hosted by Bill Nelson.
Bill Nelson, yeah.
Of the Nelson Thibodeau Clinic. And guess what? It stayed. The station just kind of came to Bill and said, because he was president of Dallas Gay Alliance at the time, and the station came to him and said, would you like to do a gay and lesbian show? And he said, okay, not knowing what that really was because there was no such thing at the time.
Anywhere.
And there were a couple of other shows that were on the air before us. One in California. That one is still on a Pacifica station. It's still on, but it has not run continuously. There was one up in Philadelphia that Mark Siegel, who publishes the Philadelphia Gay News, did. Mm-hmm. And that's not on the air anymore. And as far as and the one in Houston also is another one of the really old ones, but hasn't been on quite as long as we are. But we're the oldest continuously running LGBT show on the air anywhere. So it's our anniversary. It's our 35th anniversary. It's also Pledge Drive. So if you'd like to make a pledge, the number is 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. We have Josh's standing by. And Josh or Chris, it could be either one of them because he does have a split personality.
And pearls.
And wearing pearls today. He's dressed as Barbara Bush to answer your call because we are the conservative radio show. That's why we have a disclaimer before we go on the air now because you never know what we're going to say. You know, Patti did walk in and, you know, she might come in with her pro-Trump views.
Way over there on the far right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Said no one ever.
In this studio.
Well, we had our station meeting, and actually I found out what the disclaimer is about. It wasn't really about our show.
Oh, good.
So I said, that's because we're the conservative voice on this station, and actually people at the meeting kind of agreed.
Polka hour.
Right.
Likes the
right.
most liberal, yeah.
So anyway, we took a picture at the meeting of the shows that had been on the air since that first month, and there were 5 or 6 of us who were there.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Anyway, it is our 35th anniversary. It is Pledge Drive. Give us a call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893.
And we have some special on our 35th anniversary as a station and as a show. Mm-hmm. We have our 35th anniversary T-shirt for a $50 pledge.
I know, and I don't have enough T-shirts. So I had to get that one. It's gray and red in the men's sizes. In the women's, which if you're a woman and want the men's, just let us know. There's a women's size one that's a gray shirt and it's black and pink.
Pink, yeah.
Yep.
So, and if you're a man and want the pink one, you can have that one too if you.
Absolutely.
Because it's our show. Just let us know, and we'll mark that down.
Breaking gender stereotypes every week.
Because it's our show.
That's right.
Let me give that number again. It's 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893.
And for $50, you can get that. A $50 pledge, you can get either of those T-shirts. They run small to 5XL.
Oh, so one will fit you, Patty.
That's right. I gotta have room for my girls. They gotta have room. We also have all kinds of things. Our standard stuff. But another great one is the Knon beach towel. It's 5 feet by 2.5 feet. It's an awesome lighter blue with a lighter blue Knon logo, and that's for $75 pledge. So we have all kinds of stuff. For a $50 pledge, you can get the canvas tote bag. It's all natural canvas with a black trim handle, and the handle's really long. I love these things to go shopping because you can put heavy things in, like if you get
the new one
cans
is a little bit bigger than the old one, because I got one
awesome.
last pledge drive, and it really will. It's wide enough for those couple of things like extra large rolls of toilet paper. It fits in the new one.
And I love it because it's so big. And I gave the one that I got from the last pledge drive that's bigger, as you say, and I gave that one to Erin, and she's thrilled. She's not. She goes, I wish I've never gotten a Knon canvas bag from you.
We have a couple of specialties, special items, events that you can get tickets to with a pledge to the 35th anniversary pledge drive. It's the 8th annual 2018 Dallas Observer Brewfest presented by Whole Foods. Brewfest is an outdoor beer sampling event and festival that will feature craft beers, local food vendors, and live music. Entry into this event and 12 2-ounce beer samples are included in the ticket price. Guests must be 21 plus, so that leaves you out, Patty. It's on Saturday, September 8th. Doors open at 7 p.m. It's at the Dallas Farmers Market. We have one pair to give away. It's for a $75 pledge. If you'd like one of our T-shirts, you can have the 2 tickets plus a T-shirt, hat, or apron. For $100. And we will mail those tickets to you. So 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. You have one of those too over there.
We have 2 pairs of tickets to for a pledge of $40. Get you 2 passes, good for both days, or $70 for 2 passes, and a T-shirt, hat, or apron. And that's for the 3rd annual Smokin' Blues and Barbecue Festival.
The blues festivals are always great.
Oh, they're awesome, and it's 2 days.
Yeah.
It's 2 days of events and music at Armstrong Park in Duncanville, Texas. It's going to be in October, Friday, October 19th, and Saturday, October 20th. So the lineups are just incredible. We have JB and the Zydeco Posse, Larry Lampkin, Allie Marie Venable, Beth Garner, the Peterson Brothers. There's an all-star charity blues bash on Friday night, and gates open at like 9 a.m. on Saturday. We have 2 pairs. $40 pledge gets 2 passes, good for both days. That's a pretty good deal. That's like $20 a piece for 2 days of fantastic music and food. And $70 gets you 2 passes and a T-shirt, hat, or a barbecue apron. So that's the 3rd annual Smokin' Blues and Barbecue Festival. 972-647-1893.
That's 972-647-1893. Our guest, as is our custom on the first day of Pledge Drive, is Candy Marcum. Candy, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's always great to see you.
Yeah.
Since you were last here, one of our co-hosts, and I don't want to mention her name because I don't want to embarrass her, one of our co-hosts lost her job.
Oh.
Thanks, Trump.
See,
I was hired 21 years ago. I was first employed when Bill Clinton was president of the United States. And thanks, Trump.
So we don't know why she lost her job, but it was labeled a layoff, but she was the only one in this layoff.
Oh, really?
In her company, but it was a general layoff.
How special.
We don't think it's because she was always late to work because she worked from home, but it might have had something to do with that.
No, I did my 10-foot commute pretty promptly.
You know, some people's being on time, other people's being on time, 2 different. Anyway, let's just talk about how changing a job, especially when it's not your choice.
Yeah. You know, there's so few things that we have control of. In our career, we think we do. We plan. We put our resume together. But it goes the way it goes. And hardly ever the way we think it's going to go. And that's just life. Life does that. Mm-hmm. It never goes the way we think it's going to go. But I was reading an article in the Dallas Morning News yesterday, big headline, lowest unemployment in 50 years, 3.9%. And I thought to myself, if I was unemployed and I read that, I would be so depressed. I would think, oh my God, everybody and their dog has a job but me. So that's one thought. Another thought is, as we become older, it's harder. We have to work harder to get the job. We're not at the age where it's an entry-level job.
Right.
We are specialized, and so it takes longer to get that. But on the other hand, if we've been in the business a while, and you have connections. You know people. They see you as an expert. The deal would be just to update everything and network. So your business cards will not have your business on it, but it will have your name on it, mm-hmm. and how to contact you, and to get your resume updated.
Well, and that would be important, especially on Patti's part, because like you and I were talking about before the show, we have no idea what she does.
No, we don't.
You know why? Because I never talk about what I did for a living.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it listed on my Facebook page. I never talk about it. So mm-hmm. people are often surprised by what I do for a living.
What do you do for a living?
I worked in person identity, a master person index for hospitals.
Master identity.
Master person index. And everybody has a database of patients, and we like to think of one person, one record. And oftentimes, if you go into Baylor Irving and they create a record for you, and then you go to Big Baylor downtown and they create another record for you, that's bad. We want to find your record and move you through the system with one person, one record. Yep.
Well, that is specialized, isn't it?
It is pretty specialized, pretty niche.
Pretty niche. And what's great is that you were working from home.
Yeah.
How great is that?
Yep. So 21 years. So I haven't been in the marketplace in a long time. I've only had 3 full-time employers in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all new and it's different. And I remember when I was laid off from my previous, I worked one job for 8 years, another for 7, and then 21. And after 7 years, when I was laid off from there, I was so angry.
Mm-hmm.
I was so angry. And I thought, I have to get a new relationship with employment, the concept of employment. Because I don't want to work someplace where I don't care. I don't want to work someplace where I'm not giving and contributing with myself and earnestly, and I'm interested and invested. But I don't want to be hurt again.
Yes.
I was really hurt by that.
It does hurt.
Blood, sweat, and tears, and late nights, and oftentimes giving up family events and all of those things in order to do the job. And and then they just let you go. And it was, and it was really cold too. That's what I find when these layoffs can be just so cold. I mean, like they walked me to my car and
like you were going to steal something.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to hear one worse than that? I had a friend who worked at CNN. He went on the air, and when he came back to his office, it was locked, and he was escorted to his car where they had already packed up his office, and the boxes were sitting next to his car. How's that for cold?
No.
Wow. And that's
the
what
loyalty a lot of times only goes one way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it sure
From
does.
the employee to the employer.
Mm-hmm.
It's heartbreaking. And I just don't, I mean, I was in a position in my past life to lay people off, and it's a horrible,
mm-hmm.
horrible thing. And it's the worst thing you can do. But you have to be a human being, and you have to have compassion.
Yes.
And you can. And it just shocks me that people don't have that inside them.
And
I think they have them. I think it scares them.
Yeah, that's
so
what I was going to say.
With a Post-it note or something.
I'd say when you lose a job that way, and it seems like they were so cold when you were good friends last week.
Yeah, yesterday.
It's because they feel that bad about what they did, and they don't know how to do it the right way.
But they leave the impression, because forever This is the impression I walk with daily upon leaving.
Yeah, they didn't care.
That they were just so cowardly and small, they couldn't be a human being. You know what I mean? That's what really gets me, and it stays with you forever. It's never left me. It's never left me.
You know, some advice I would give, and I don't know if it would work in your situation or the CNN situation, but should they have the courage to bring you into their office and say that they need to let you go, is to ask for a letter of recommendation right then.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Now, no one thinks they're going to lose their job, and so, you know, you can't have it as a template and take it in there and have them sign it. But I would, right then, ask them for a letter of recommendation.
Especially since your office was your bedroom.
Yeah, my office was not my bedroom.
Oh, okay.
It was down the hall.
It was down the hall, but it was in your house anyway.
Yeah.
You were let go just over the phone, right?
On Skype, yeah. So
that's even colder.
But
they didn't walk me to my car because my car was in my own driveway. But
but I think I would, even now, if it appeals to you, is to contact them and ask them for a letter of recommendation or send them one and say, will you sign this? Because, number one, that'll make you feel better, and number two, as you interview for more jobs, you can show them the letter.
Right.
You know, the reason that I was let go is that it was a worldwide layoff, although I was the only person.
But you're in the world. We need to take a break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink. Our guest, as it always is on the first pledge drive day, is Counselor Candy Marcum. I didn't introduce you as a counselor. I just figure a lot of our listeners know who you are by now. But
and you did say inimitable or whatever you say.
No, I didn't. But you are.
It's inimitable.
Inimitable. Yeah.
It is Pledge Drive. If you'd like to give us a call, 972-647-1893. If you would not like to give us a call anyway, 972-647-1893. We have all the usual Pledge Drive items. We'll talk about a few more of them when we get back. But we'll be back in just a minute.
This is Rollins Gilliland, and I'm listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3, and darn glad to be doing it.
And Candy, you thought it would be a good idea to
maybe write down the guests you've had over the 35 years.
Okay, so thank you for that segue. See, she's good at doing bad segues, too. It is Pledge Drive, and this is our 35th anniversary. That's 35 years on the air.
Continuously since August of 1983.
Every Sunday. Every Sunday. By the way, you'll be here on Labor Day weekend, Patti?
I believe so.
Okay, good, because I'm going to be up in New York that weekend.
You're going to labor?
I'm going to be laboring up in New York at a relative's 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my
That's
cousin.
Cool.
Yeah, my cousin. So that'll be a lot of fun. But other than that, I'm here every other Sunday.
It's because of that big paycheck y'all get.
It must be. It must be. But you said who have been some of our guests, and I was thinking back, one of the oldest guests from when I first started the show, which was in about 1990. There used to be this little bar band that performed at John L's over on Wycliffe, and they performed at Sue Ellen's very often. So we had them on the show. The name of the band was the Dixie Chicks.
Oh,
yes,
really?
It's a little band.
Yeah. Another one, there was a song a local songwriter had written. It got into a movie. It became the first #1 hit to not be on an album, ever. That was Lisa Loeb. And, Lisa's gone on, done lots of other
Yeah.
things. We've had Chaz Bono on, Leslie Jordan. We're trying to get him on again. He's going to be here in Dallas in September.
Oh, he's so fun.
And
He has a new TV show.
he does have a new
Oh, really?
The Cool Kids. Yeah. With Vicki Lawrence, and I love Vicki Lawrence. And I told Aaron that when I saw that they were having this show, I went, oh, I have such a connection to Carol Burnett, who's like one of my childhood favorites, because I have the same birthday as Vicki Lawrence.
Oh, of course.
Now, with Leslie, easiest show to do, because you just start by
Put the
saying
quarter in and-
our guest is our guest is, and he starts talking.
And funny.
And then it's Leslie. We have to Leslie. It's time for a break. So,
And he talks through the break.
do you know who one of my favorite writers was that we had on? Was Sally Ride's widow.
Yes.
Wasn't that wonderful when she was on? Yeah,
And an amazing book.
It was fascinating. Cleve Jones, who founded the AIDS Quilt, he was here in Dallas and came on. I think it was one of the morning shows.
The Wednesday
He's
show.
been here several times,
Yeah.
actually. He's been on the show more than once. And in fact, if you're not familiar with him, if you've seen the movie Milk, starring Sean Penn, he's played by Cleve Jones is played by actor Emil Hirsch in the film, so that you can follow his early life as an activist. And he's, of course, still around.
And we've had tons of politicians on. Eddie Bernice Johnson's been on a number of times. Eric Johnson, state representative, Raphael Anchia, Victoria Niave. Lots of city council people, half of the city council at least.
The mayor's been on.
The mayor's been on.
We've had several mayors on.
Well, Anise Parker.
Anise Parker.
Right. Harriet Earhart has been on any number of times. We need to get her back on. She hasn't been on in a number of years.
Oh, love
And
her.
not just Mike Rawlings, who's currently the mayor of Dallas, but we've had Laura Miller on. And she actually played Who Wants to Be a Lesbian.
Yes, she did.
And became an honorary lesbian. And do you know, she had our certificate of being an honorary lesbian framed. And it hung in her office when she was mayor of Dallas.
I did
the
not
entire
know
time.
that. That is
Yes.
something else.
Anyway, so that's to answer your question.
Yes.
So, we are constantly looking for great guests to have on, and we have all kinds of local celebrities like Candy who are on regularly, and we appreciate those because that's what KNON is. It's a community radio station.
Yeah.
So it's not about the big names necessarily, because when the Dixie Chicks were on, they were a local band. They were just a local band. Anyway, Josh is on the phone. We'll announce the phone number in just a minute again as soon as he takes this pledge. But it is Pledge Drive, and that's why we're going through this Pledge Drive and our 35th anniversary, which that's amazing that this show has been on that long, because there are very few shows that have been on the air as long as we have. Meet the Press, 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
But seriously.
No, I think it's quite an accomplishment and something that you guys should be really proud of, because I made an illusion, which it was, about how much you all are paid. And no one is paid anything. This is all volunteer. And it's Sunday. And so you're giving up several hours on Sunday.
Well, what else would I do?
It's hard to do brunch on Sunday because you say I have to leave, or you have to be late to it because I don't get out till 2.
But I remember when we were all on Wednesday at 7 a.m.
Yeah, I'll take Sunday any day.
Yeah, give me a Sunday.
We've been on Wednesday mornings at drive time at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And I remember our first guest when we were at that hour was Council Member Scott Griggs. And his hair, when he arrived, was in every direction. And he says, thank God it's radio, because I made it over here. And I think he's probably going to go back home and go to sleep, because we drug him out of bed. But we've been on Saturday mornings. We used to have a 2-hour show on Sunday nights when we were over at the Crack House in East Dallas. We've had a lot. And one of our board members, Gene Soslow, I've known him for years. When he was, named to the board, I was so excited for him, and I asked him to do us a favor, and he said he did it, and the board has agreed to direct deposit our salaries now. So we get $0 faster.
Yeah, it's amazing, y'all's commitment to this show, and it impacts a lot of people, and it's important. And so it's the listeners, a along with you guys, that keep this going.
Do you know, I still hear from people, not as often as we used to before there was an internet.
Yeah.
Right.
But I still hear from people occasionally that'll tell me, oh, you know, I always listened to your show when I was first coming out. Mm-hmm. It was the one connection I had to the community. They didn't want to have a trace on their internet, their history, for their parents to find. Yeah. They didn't want to have a newspaper like the Dallas Voice or a magazine or whatever in their room that a parent could find. And I still hear those stories. So, you know, if you want to know why do I do it, we are, you know, it's old-fashioned, traditional radio, but we're still sometimes the only connection people get.
You make a difference.
Yeah.
And we've had countless stories. Oh,
the number to call, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. To make a pledge, it is Pledge Drive.
I was just going to say, we've had people who've written to us and said they've been in their, you know, they go into their bedrooms and close the door and put their headphones on and listen in East Texas, and it's the only connection they'd had to
on the
anything.
down low.
On the down
Yeah.
low. And someone who had attended Baylor and sick embarrassed, I'm a class of 84 here, and would drive to Hillsboro on 35 every Sunday night to where's the first place that he could get the signal from our tower, and would sit at a roadside rest area or something just right off the highway so he could get right back on the highway and go back and listen to the show.
And you know something, here's another reason to give, and it's a technical reason, but it is one reason. Some of your Pledge Drive money goes toward maintaining some of the equipment here, and the cable that goes from the ground, from the room where they receive the signal from the studio, so it goes by a phone line, and it goes down to the station, down to the tower down in Cedar Hill. But the cable that goes up to where the actual antenna is, and we're at 55,000 watts, we're pretty high on the tower, that cable had to be replaced. It was used in 1983 when we went on the air.
Wow.
We just had to replace it this year, and that was about $50,000, or I think I'm remembering from the last Pledge Drive meeting that we had at the station. It was something in that range that it cost to replace. So our reserves are real low. And that's one reason that we're asking for our 35th anniversary to make a nice pledge. $35 for our 35th anniversary would be a wonderful pledge. A T-shirt is for $50, apron, hat, all those are for a $50 pledge. 972-647-1893 is the number. Josh is off the phone. Viv, thank you for making a pledge.
Thank you,
she
Viv.
said to remind everybody all the places we've been. Okay, so there was the Crack House in East Dallas. It's only 3. The Crack House in East Dallas. They had to tear the building down the week we moved out of the building.
Just raised it. I mean,
we used the building up.
We did.
We broke the building.
We have the door,
moved to the corner of Butler and Maple. In the old building the Cathedral of Hope was in before it moved to its cathedral in 1990.
Once called the Pink Building.
So, because it used to be painted pink, right? And that building was torn down. It's a storage unit. Now, that building, that's a shame. The floors were marble.
Yes.
It was a
pretty
lovely building.
And nice staircase.
Storage units. Now we're here on the corner of North Haven and Central Expressway. We just got our lease extended for 3 years.
Oh, good.
So, you know, we thought they were tearing down the shopping next to us. They're building on it.
Oh, good.
Really?
Yeah, they left the frame. That's being renovated, not torn down.
Good.
Oh,
Yeah, now they might be building more onto it, which would be great. But, yeah, they're not tearing that down because we've had construction all around the station for the last few months. 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. We're talking to Candy Marcum. She is a counselor. We were talking about changing jobs. Did you have any other thoughts on how people should approach a job hunt and after having been laid off?
Well, I think what Patti was talking about is every person's experience. I think it hurts. I think you get angry. Who wants to look for a job? Who wants to go through the interviews? But I think you just take it a step at a time. You network with people. You have your resume ready. Don't worry about the interview until you get one. You're going to be glad that you got one. and you go through all that you need to go through. I would say also make sure you have two referrals that you've talked to, that you've called up, and you said, can I use you as a referral? I think it's important to do. I think it's also important to use your connections, either your address book or your Facebook, to let people know that you're in the market.
And can I just tell Patti, I'd be delighted to be your referral, Patti.
Oh, a good referral.
Definitely. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. A referral from someone who can speak positive about your accomplishments. Not David. David would be for humor.
Right.
If we have referrals for humor.
Talk about how young I am and everything, right?
And how you're on time all the time. Okay.
Your office is downtown? She'll never get there.
The other thought I have about it, to make it less daunting, is that sometimes you just need a job. You don't need a career. You need a job. As we're older, hopefully we've saved money where we can wait 2 or 3 months to start another job. But if you haven't, if you're younger and you don't have that money put aside, don't swing for the fences.
Right.
Take what's there. Get some money coming in. It's important to get up and go to work. It makes you feel good. And your second job would be looking for a job.
Do you know, I had one friend, I'm not sure if I should take this. It'll be over the weekends. I don't really want this. I said, take the job. Over the weekend means you have days off during the week. You can look for what you really want to do then.
It's just nice to have money coming in.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think another thing, too, is my perspective now, 21 years since my previous layoff, when I was so angry and so upset, and it took me 4 months to look for a job, and I got the first job I applied for.
Oh, look at you.
But this time around, I have a different sense of it. For one, I'm in a different place in my life.
Yep.
I would like to work maybe another 8 to 10 years.
So maybe look for the one last job maybe that you'd have, yeah.
And look for that, but I'm also considering maybe stopping and working for a campaign and resuming my look after November.
And the other thing,
there are a lot of options at this stage of the game.
You can do anything right now. Yep. So think real widely, like you're doing. Cast a wide net, and let's just see what you pull in.
Even outside what I've been doing, I've been looking at other things. Totally different things.
If you do get a job that you think is going to be it, and it's like after a month, I can't work with these people. There's nothing that says that just because you took that job, you have to keep that job.
Sure.
That would be one that would probably fall off the resume.
Yeah. That's just it. I have 3 full-time employers in my entire life. Who does that? Who does that anymore?
No. Usually people will have 8 different jobs before they're like 32.
That's amazing to me because I did, And so my resume is complete on 3 pages.
3 referrals.
Yeah.
And that's fine. This is Lambda Weekly that you're listening to on KNON. It is Pledge Drive. It is our 35th anniversary of our show as well as the station. Our show went on the air the week the station went on the air in 1983.
That's something.
We do have a number of things to give away this time. Some tickets. It's the 8th Annual Dallas Observer Brew Fest presented by Whole Foods. Doors open at 7 p.m. at the Dallas Farmers Market on Saturday, September 8th. For 1 pair of tickets, $75 pledge. For 1 pair of tickets plus a T-shirt, hat, or apron, it's $100, and we'll mail you those tickets. So if you like the beer thing, just tell Josh the beer thing. The number is 972-647-1893. You have one, Patti, also.
Yes, the 3rd Annual Smokin' Blues and Barbecue Festival at Armstrong Park in Duncanville, Texas. It's going to be Friday and Saturday, October 19th and 20th. So you have some time to plan and maybe invite, because we have 2 pairs of tickets available.
You might have time to get a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or maybe that special someone you could invite, and that could be your first date.
Yeah.
So you can get a pair of passes that are good for both days, both October 19th and 20th.
That's good.
For a $40 pledge.
And
That's
for another $40
fantastic.
pledge, we can provide the boyfriend or girlfriend. No, I can't do that because I didn't get that approved by the station, and you can't just make up pledge drive gifts, so I didn't just offer that.
He's just kidding.
And for $70, you get the 2 passes and then a pledge premium, like a T-shirt, a hat, or a barbecue apron. So give us a call with a $40 pledge or a $70 pledge, and you've got 2 passes for 2 days of blues at Smokin' Blues and barbecue.
Yeah, there are 2 other ways you can make a pledge. One is online. Go to knon.org and just push the Pledge Now button. We get about half of our pledges on the show that way, so go to the website, and it's really easy. It lists all the pledge premiums that we have. Although if you want the tickets, that has to be done by phone. The other thing that you can do is a bank draft. Call us now. Tell us you'd like to start a bank draft, and you can do it with a checking or savings account. It's an automatic monthly draft that will occur from your account, and you can have it deducted on the 1st to the 3rd or the 14th to the 16th. So the beginning of the month, middle of the month, whatever you'd like. You select an amount. The station would like you to pledge $1 a day, which would be a $30 pledge that would just be drafted automatically. That way it's easy. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to call during pledge drives. Just set it up. Our expenses here at the station, this is without salaries, because we're a volunteer station, is $63,000 every month. The office rent alone is $92 a day, $2,750 per month. So if you make a $92 pledge, we'll be doing our job to pay the rent for one day. 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Josh is on the phone. I need to do the board, and we'll be back with more Lambda Weekly right after this.
Hi, this is Valletta Lil, and I listen to Lambda Weekly. I hope that you will too.
And this is Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here with the late Patti Fink, and our guest is Candy Marcum. Candy, somebody called in a question for you.
Yes, and I think that's a smart way to use this program, is if you have a question about what we're talking about, call in and ask it.
Because especially with Patti, who knows what she's talking about half the time.
Well, it's a good thing I'm here. So it says, what do you do with a resume that shows a lot of jobs? The caller was concerned that it may look like he or she, was it a he, is a job hopper. And if you heard what I said a second ago when we talked about take a job, and if it doesn't work out in 6 months, leave, and I said, and take it off your resume. All right? So what you want to show in a resume is continuity of work. So you don't want to have a big 6 months where there's nobody there, or 1 year where there's no place where you worked. So what I would suggest doing is perhaps not having a timeline, but putting down the jobs that you think will give you the best recommendation to. A lot of times people will call in to where you worked and say, would you rehire this person? I think you can ask that question, and you answer it yes or no. So do not put anything down here where they would say no. The caller said that the number of jobs was about circumstances that were out of his control. So it would be important, I would think, to make sure that there is someone in the couple of jobs that you liked that can speak for you in case someone calls.
You know, the other thing is, if you've had jobs in different areas, you can have a couple of different resumes. So this is the resume that's applicable to this type of job. This is the resume more applicable to that.
David, that's an excellent point. These days, you need more than one resume. And so and it has to do with like different fields of interest. If you worked at Jack in the Box and you're looking into IT jobs, don't put the Jack in the Box job unless you were doing IT for Jack in the Box. So it is not uncommon at all to have 2 to 3 different resumes that show you are an expert in this field.
Well, I think it's true too, because like my career's been in healthcare, and certainly for the last 20 plus years in health IT. But I've also been looking at jobs like in legislative, government relations.
Yes, your political work, absolutely.
And they don't really care what the nitty gritty of what I did in health IT. They don't even know some of the terms I would be using.
Like, we didn't even know what you did.
Right.
But we know you're a big old Democrat.
You didn't know what she did. I didn't care.
Oh. That's more honest.
But I think that's true. But I think there's a real balance you can achieve if you're given an opportunity to do a cover letter.
Yes,
so you
always have a cover letter, always.
So
and the cover letter's about why I want to work for you.
Exactly.
I love Fritos. I want to work for Frito-Lay, whatever.
And so you can work a balance between your resume and what you want to highlight about your career or your skills, your expertise, your education. You can really choose do your cover letter to highlight those things and bring them to the fore.
Absolutely.
And also, if you have those gaps, life happens, and people on the other end reading these are human beings too. And if you had to stop and take care of an elderly parent for 4 years, and there's a gap in your resume, you may want to mention that I took care of a family member.
Yes.
And then I returned to the workforce. And it's okay. It's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's truth.
Yes.
If I were writing a resume, my first job out of college, it wasn't my first job, one of my first jobs out of college, I was reading the New York Times. I was in New York City. I was reading the New York Times. I was going through the want ads. Yes, we used to look for a job that way.
Absolutely.
Last time I did was from newspaper.
It was snowing, and I got hired by a retail company. And I figured when I took the job, you know what? They hired me. It's snowing. I'll look for something when the weather's better. And I ended up really enjoying the job. I kept it for 5 years.
Wow.
And I kept getting promoted. That's how I got to Dallas, actually. I was transferred to a North Park store that they had.
Interesting.
But you know what? I wouldn't put that on a resume now. It has nothing to do with anything. So it's okay to leave those kinds of things out. So.
Well, and it would be so long ago on your resume. I'm not sure they want to go back that far.
Well, he's not looking for retail. He'd be looking for journalism. But yeah, I think that's a good point. It was a great job. You had it for a long time, 5 years, but it doesn't fit what you're looking for.
Right. So it's so extraneous that
it's a great story though on how I got to Dallas. I like that part.
But in interviews before, I've spoken about that.
Right. It's a verbal thing, but you have to get the interview. Somehow you have to get that interview.
So, but anyway, not that we talked to Patti before the show because she was running a little bit late. But
do not put him down as a reference.
Not to worry.
But I hope you don't mind. We didn't mention your name. You're the one who said it was you, Patti. I just mentioned it was one of the co-hosts who had recently lost her job.
Her job. All the hosts are male except for Patti.
So I hope you don't mind. I hope this was helpful, actually.
Very helpful.
Good.
Thank you, David.
So, one of the things that we've talked about when you've come is a grief group that I started after my husband Brian died, and it's coming up on 1.5 years since he's gone. One thing that our group, every time we meet, we have at least one new person who comes, which just shows the need for it. We didn't have a grief group for same-sex partners. And I felt that there really was a need, and some of our members had gone to other types of grief groups, and they said, this one I could just let all my guard down, didn't have to explain who I was. One person said they were perfectly welcoming, but
they weren't gay.
Yeah, so there just wasn't that relationship to.
That's the difference.
One thing I'm finding in the second year, and other people in the group have noticed this too, is that the second year in some ways is harder than the first.
I agree. I kind of agree too when it's about marriage, by the way, but to grief. I think there's stages of grieving, and one of the stages is you're kind of numb. You just put one foot in front of the other, and before you know it, a month is gone.
And especially, I think, when the death is sudden.
Yes.
Like Brian's
Yes.
was. Yeah.
You know, a month passes, 2 months pass, 6 months pass, and you think, well, you know, I'm feeling a little better. 9 months pass, and, you know, you smile and you kind of really mean it. And then you notice the anniversary's coming up in 3 months. So a lot of memories come back, a lot of feelings come back. You're more raw as you go toward the 12th month than you were at the 9th month. But it's all about making that year anniversary. And so you do. You hit it, you make it, you have feelings about it, but as the 13th month comes along, the grief has lifted. But what comes in its place is, oh my God, I've got a lot of months to go without him. And that can be overwhelming, I think. And something that you said, David, is that maybe you think after a year, I should be in a better place than I'm in as far as grief goes. I should be over this. And there is no timeline. And you never get over it. You know, you just learn to manage the grief better.
Oh, and you know, that part I know because my parents were 57 when my mother died. And so my father outlived my mother by about 30 years. And he always missed her.
Absolutely. You don't replace that. You just learn to manage it better. But it's, you know, it's a loss that you can't smooth over and get away from.
And there was one other thing that I've come up with. Brian's birthday was a month after his death. I cannot remember that day. I just don't know what I did that day at all. This year, his birthday was harder because I was thinking clearer.
You were present.
Yeah.
I was. You weren't numb.
I was out of it for his birthday.
Yeah.
I do know where I was. I think I was in Florida then.
Seeing your cousin. Yeah.
Seeing cousins, and I think that's because we had planned to go to Florida for his birthday. So I think I was out of town.
But you're not clear because you weren't clear.
I don't remember the day. I just don't remember it at all. And this year, those days have been harder.
Yeah.
My sister's going through the same thing. She lost her husband of 46 years at the end of March, and their anniversary was in April. And so, you know, that kind of came and went. But I remember I shared with my sister about what Harriet Earhart said a neighbor told her. You know, Harriet Earhart had been married, I have no idea how many decades.
More than 50 years.
To Jack.
More than 50, yeah.
And he passed away maybe a year and a half ago. And she said the first thing the neighbor did was bring food over, and in delivering that, you know, casserole or whatever it was, said, here's the best advice given to me. And that's don't do anything, don't make any major changes for a year. And it was after that year that Harriet put that big, beautiful house on Swiss Avenue up for sale.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, wow, that's probably really good advice. And I shared that with my sister, and she says, yeah, I think that's really, really good advice, because you don't know where your head's going to be.
You're so wounded.
And if you do something rash, like sell your home and move, or, you know, maybe that's not what you really wanted to do.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice. I do. I think you're not yourself that first year, and you shouldn't be. And then what you're saying is that I'm more myself the second year, so things are clearer, and they hurt. You know,
certain things do. Our anniversary is a good day now. I'm looking forward to our anniversary next year because Brian has made an appearance both times. Really? I don't have those kinds of beliefs.
Oh, and you get a visit with him.
It's not a quick story, but should I tell the story?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the first year, all of a sudden I'm up for for Journalist of the Year from the Lone Star Press Association in Houston.
Right.
And so I'm up against like Dallas Morning News.
Yes, it's a major award.
Yeah, so, okay, whatever.
Mainstream.
It's a mainstream media award. And I'm thinking, yeah, whatever. Then I looked up the award. It's a Houston Press Association. I knew nothing about it. I looked up, and June 9th is the date the award's being given. So I said, oh, I won. And one person from our office...
Because that's your anniversary.
That's our anniversary. Yeah. And so one person from our office went down to Houston to the award ceremony. He was nominated in, I forgot what category. But he came back, he said, "You won." I said, "Yeah, I know."
You just knew, didn't you?
I just knew.
Yeah.
So
Brian would have liked that.
Yeah, Brian would have been...
Over the moon.
Yeah, he would have been. So this year, I had been getting this thing that I had this bank account that had been abandoned. I never abandoned a bank account. You know, who just leaves money somewhere?
Least of all David.
So well, I just don't do that. Every bank account I've had, when I've closed it, I've gone out of my way, even if there's no money in the account, to close the account.
Right.
So they sent me something, they sent me something else, sent me something. I finally said, okay, I'm going to fill this out and see what's up. On our anniversary, I go to the mailbox, I open the mailbox, one piece of mail in the box from the comptroller of the Texas currency, or of the Texas comptroller of accounts, and I open it up, $800.
Whoop, whoop.
Wow.
On our anniversary. So thank you, Brian. So I'm looking forward to our anniversary next year to see how he's... The other odd thing he did, the last thing we had planned to do together, my cousin Suzanne, who was on our show when she was down here one time, her daughter got married. It was the last thing that we had planned that we were going to go do together. And, you know, Brian loved my family. I don't want to wait until next February to go see them. Okay, we can go over the summer and then we'll go again. But we had planned to go to this wedding together. I took my backpack, which has my checkbook in it. It's where I always keep that checkbook. I got up there. I'm go through the backpack to look for my checkbook. My checkbook was not there. I emptied it. It was not there, but Brian's was. So I wrote the check to my cousin, said this is literally from Brian. I got home, and my checkbook was in that backpack.
Really?
Do I believe in those kinds of things? No.
Yes, I do.
No, but yeah, I'm telling you what happened. I didn't do this because...
It makes you a believer. Yeah.
I'm telling you that happened. And I can show the receipt from the check is from his account. So yeah. So anyway, so our anniversary, because two of those happened on our anniversary, that was not a bad day for me.
And so you look forward to this one.
So
Good.
yeah.
Good.
So next June, I'm looking forward to Brian's next visit. But yeah,
cool.
I mean, boy's been haunting me. So, but all good things. All good things. So
well, I'm a firm believer. You know, when I pass, I'm gonna if there's a way, I want to make, you know, give some clues or you know, like I can hear you.
Okay, so here's the other thing. Wasn't planning on going to black tie dinner this year. I just didn't feel like I was up to it. What do? They go give him an award. I had to go. So it's his way of saying, of course you're going to black tie dinner. What do you mean?
It's my turn.
So I had to go and...
yeah, it is. Like, what is death? Is it the end? Not always. You know?
So anyway,
life
it is
finds a way.
It is Pledge Drive, 972-647-1893. That's 972-647-1893. Give us a call. We do have some special giveaways. One is to the Dallas Observer Brewfest, Saturday, September 8th. Doors open at 7 p.m. It's in the Farmers Market. $75 gets you a pair of tickets and also 12 2-ounce beer samples. So... I'm not sure, can we say we're not giving away beer on the air? You can't do that, but they are. And your tickets for entry get you those beers. $100 gets you a pair of tickets and a KNON t-shirt. It's a brand new t-shirt, completely different than anything we've done before. So I have to have one for my t-shirt collection, and I'm going to have to start a second drawer. The only reason it's down to that is some of the older ones I had to get rid of.
I bet I have probably 30 KNON shirts, and many of them duplicates, but some of them have holes in them. And
so you keep them?
You know, I keep them for working around the house. And, if I'm frying something, I change shirts. You know,
you should put on your KNON
I have that
apron.
KNON apron. That's what I have.
Sometimes I put the apron on top of my...
You have a T-shirt. You have tickets.
I do. Third annual Smokin' Blues and Barbecue Festival at Armstrong Park in Duncanville, Texas. That's for Friday and Saturday, October 19th and October 20th. There's going to be a live blues bash, and then also an all-star charity bash. I can't talk today. So for 2 tickets, you get passes that are good for both days. Both passes are good for both days. $40 pledge gets you 2 passes. $70 gets you the 2 passes. And a pledge premium like a T-shirt, hat, or apron.
And Duncanville is just down the road.
It is.
It is. For all of us at Lambda Weekly, thank you especially to everybody who called in to pledge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candy. We'll see you in November.
That's right.
And for all of us here at Lambda Weekly, Erin's our guest next week.
She is.
Good.
Woo-hoo.
And so we'll see you next week.